Superkiller, the indie comic by Vito Gesualdi, is here. It's a story very concerned with the meta of superheroes and superhero fatigue. I gave part 1 a read, so I'm here to share my thoughts. The story begins with a Meteor Man scene who's a pretty on-the-nose Superman XP. After a solid gay joke, we zoom out to reveal Beck, a waitress with decent cans, reading the comic. She banters with her boss, he leaves the restaurant in her care, she reflects on how she's grown disillusioned with superheroes. But oh no! Superkiller, bloody from a fight, shambles on in. He catches her up to speed, where we learn that Superkiller is a dimension hopper who kills superheroes in different worlds. He's tasked with killing Meteor Man, who's not just a character, he's also a real guy, and he just kicked the shit out of Superkiller. The scene ends with Meteor Man crashing into the restaurant, ready to finish the job. Superkiller presents the audience with different layers of abstraction, beginning with the abject fantasy of a superhero, the rejection of superheroes, and Superkiller's blend of the two. Felt like I was watching a zoomed-out summary of the last 17 years of the MCU and its subsequent backlash. This layering makes it all the more rewarding when these 3 characters are finally locked into place in the final scene. I see what the writer Vito Gesualdi is going for here, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the first 10 pages could have been cut. Beck's chit-chat with her boss went on for too long, and giving her disillusioned backstory so soon felt clumsy. And hey, maybe I'm the rube, and these are all locking and loading the Chekhov's guns to be fired in part 2. After all, if we know that Beck is kind of over superheroes, that does give her more of a reason to join Superkiller and help him defeat Meteor Man. But I'm not especially holding my breath for cafe owner Dimitri to come back in any meaningful way. Feels like he exists to show how much Beck's life sucks. I am also not crazy about introducing Meteor Man through a fictionalized comic book, then revealing that this world has real-life superheroes, Meteor Man being one of them. Came off as a bit clumsy, and now I'm wondering if superhero-based comics are a niche in their world and how much are based in fiction. If we're approaching this as high IQ meta-commentary, I could see why they could have seen this as the necessary way to begin their comic. I was just getting that antsy when do we get to the fireworks factory feeling, since the first 10-ish pages felt more like the adventures of a girl failure. When Superkiller does show up, it feels like the show is finally starting, but he has to explain who he is, what he does, and then whip back to a flashback so we know he got his ass kicked. It was grating having the narrative jump around so much. Despite this, I didn't totally hate it. Most of the dialogue is kept smooth, and even if the plot is a bit disjointed, it does keep moving, and it doesn't slow down. Another major plus is the art. It's very bold and it's very confident without taking itself too seriously. The thick line art was such a treat, and it was all around incredibly expressive and such a delight to drink in. And that's mostly because the 2 main characters have decent bisexual appeal. Superkiller himself looks like if Gojo was an X-Man. He has a twinkish build and soft hair. He's 10 out of 10 yaoi bait. I'm personally praying he gets some shipping art with other indie comic superheroes. As for the girl, she is decently cute. Her design isn't as memorable, but the artist was able to give her such a wide range of expressions and make her so fun. Definitely has a good nerdy GF kind of appeal, but her character would have been better if they upgraded the boobs. I want them distractingly large. They're at a decent size now, but if they were monstrous, then this comic would have been memorialized amongst Chanyu lovers forever. This is a missed opportunity. Right now, there is nothing memorable to make her into a solid waifu character, whereas with Superkiller, I can immediately see the husbando appeal. And if you're thinking, hey man, you're either A, sounded kinda gay, or B, arbitrarily projecting your misogynistic tastes onto this character, well, you're right. But also, this came up a lot on the author's podcast, The Biggest Problem in the Universe. Every week, Vito Gesualdi prostrates himself for the audience, while his co-host, Dick Masterson, unleashes a constant deluge of fat-shaming. It is needlessly cruel, and they air it live every week. And being a listener to The Biggest Problem does make this comic better. That parasocial relationship made me understand Vito's voice and writing style better. Certain lines very much read in his style, such as Beck sharing the social media platform Bonk Zoingo. It's such a perfect joke word, and I could immediately imagine Vito saying it with a sarcastic delivery. But unfortunately, I could also see the self-consciousness reflected in this writing. There's several times where lines felt like an unnecessary self-deflection that slowed down the scene. For example, in the Bonk Zoingo panel, we see Superkiller quip about how dumb it sounds. Maybe that was supposed to be the joke, but for me, it killed the momentum. There's too many times the joke just isn't allowed to breathe, and I get the sense that this author wanted to always be a few steps ahead of the readers, as if he's thinking through every possible Twitter argument that could sprout from every bad faith, shit-slinging critique from this comic. And this pervasiveness does downgrade the overall reading experience. Now, I haven't consumed a lot of Vito outside of Biggest Problem, but the self-conscious need to prove himself attitude isn't really there in his movie reviews or when he's off the cuff talking about fast food history on Biggest Problem. So it was jarring to see the self-consciousness manifest in Superkiller, but it does align with his thinking, and I can imagine having that cold sweat of self-doubt when so much is writing on this comic. I say about 25% of the dialogue could be cut from the script and not make a difference, but I could also imagine Vito thinking this either immerses the reader and lets the characters feel more real, or he's trying to outsmart everyone who's trying to one-up him. And maybe I'm way off of my parasocial read on this, but either way, the excess dialogue feels like an ego issue. Anyway, I'm bringing up biggest problem because I know Dick has told Vito that he needs to give Beck bigger cans, but Vito didn't listen. I know if Dick, someone you're so close to, wasn't able to convince you, I know I don't have a chance, but I still need to vocalize that her tits need to be bigger. At this point, I don't care what you do with the story. I just don't want X-Man Gojo standing next to a girl who's a Midwest 7. And there's still time to fix this. You can make the jugs a little bit bigger every panel. Ease the viewers into it. Just think, if they're both smoking hot, then you basically have the human version of the Zootopia couple, and then it's only a matter of time until people make a doujinshi where they struggle with abortion. Superkiller just dropped the perfect Ikemen in our laps. So what I'm about to say is not a threat. It is a promise. If you don't make the girl hotter, all of Superkiller's Rule 34 will be of him and ISOM.